Okay. I am doing a live stream because I did a recording last night and I wasn't able to edit it, but I figured I wanted to get out a video prior to the games today. So I thought I'd go ahead and do a live stream. I don't think anybody will come in live, but yeah, people might want to watch this prior to the game starting, so that's what we're doing. I guess the things I talked about in the video I did that I wasn't able to edit was Indiana and how they are building the Indiana fever as well. The other thing I want to take a look at is the playoff matchups because I think it's very interesting how they're shaping up. I know it's way too early right now to take a look at that, but I am curious about it because I think I think they're shaping up quite nicely, and I think teams are going to be maneuvering to try to match up against certain teams and move away from other teams. But first, Indiana, they are just building. Like I'm so jealous of Indiana fan because if you're an Indiana fan, um, hey Joseph, can you hear me all right? Can you hear me? Just making sure my sound's all right. But yeah, with Indiana, I am jealous of their fans because there's nothing better than being being a fan when your team is building. I mean, that is the best thing, especially when you come out of a tank. When you come out of a tank, there's nothing worse than having to tank and wait. And then when your team makes that turnaround, and that is clearly what they're doing. They are building right now after the Olympics. I thought it would happen, and it's definitely happening. And I don't say tank with derision. I mean, my God, I came from Houston. I mean, we were the home of the tank. We did it with the Rockets. We did it with the Astros and everybody else, and there was nothing better. Like, I still remember when I was a kid and the Rockets after their tank for Olajuwon and Sampson, and then they took out the Lakers in the conference finals, and it was so good. This early stage after the tank when your team's good and you know you've done the right thing is fantastic because it's all gravy. I mean, if Indiana gets knocked out in the first round, the season's a success. Much like the Rockets, they made it to the championship, and nobody cared that they lost to Boston because we're going to be back many years to come. You know, Samson ripped up his knee, and it was a disaster, and there was a drug issue. But this is the best part, and I am very, very jealous of Indiana fan. The other thing they've got going in Indiana is they are clearly building. Like the thing that's working well is I haven't heard Christy Sides come out and say once and for all if Lexi Hull is the starter, but it's quite clear she's getting more playing time and she's definitely getting more minutes than Samuelson. So Katie Lou Samuelson, she's just struggled all season. I don't know why she's struggled all season, but she has. And even if Samuelson comes back, that depth they have is fantastic. I mean, you have two players fighting for a position, and that's exactly what you want in a team. So I think they are really, really quite set up. And then the front court is coming together well because Fag Binlay's back. I think her injury actually worked out well for Indiana because it allowed them to it allowed Nalissa Smith to get her confidence back because Nalissa Smith wasn't playing well at the start of the season, and now Nalissa Smith is playing better. Then they can go to Fag Binlay, and then there's the other one that picked up. I've forgotten her name, but she's the forward. She played well against Atlanta. Her name escapes me, but she's the post player from Brazil, and so they've got depth now in the front court. So they are just Indiana just looks really set to me, in my opinion. Now, I say all this, and they play Chicago tonight. Chicago is a classic trap game for them because I don't know yet if Kennedy Carter is playing or not. But even if she doesn't play, it would not surprise me if Chicago gets this game because Indiana is feeling good about themselves. I've been told all week about how great they are. It is just the classic trap game for them, in my opinion. I would not be surprised if they go down. I keep on saying Chicago is like the snake you can't kill. I know people are down on them because they haven't done well after the Olympics, but I'm more impressed by them. I am more impressed by Weatherspoon than yeah, she's clearly impressive and she's getting everything she can out of that team. Um, with with that game tonight, I think you would think Indiana would win. Again, it depends if Carter's playing. I'm all for that. And that's the one thing with Indiana, what they have going on is with Caitlin Clark, it has set up something just fantastic for the WNBA. I mean, everybody talks about it, goes back and forth. My big thing is the best thing in sport is sports hate. And that's what Caitlin Clark gets because she just irritates other teams and other players, and I get it because she gets so much publicity. They're jealous of her, and that's fine. That it's happened before. It's not the first time. When Candace Parker came into the WNBA, the other players hated her. It's funny when she goes out and she retires, everybody throws her bouquets and stuff like that. It wasn't like that when she came in with the LA Sparks. When she came into the Sparks, others did not like her. And that's the thing. And the other thing is I thought that just her and the way Kelsey Mitchell's playing now, they're playing off each other, and it just makes everybody better. I mean, that's part of the reason Lexi Hull is playing so well. They draw attention. Lexi Hull can shoot. She's going to get her shots off. It reminds me of LeBron and how players used to always get good contracts after LeBron was there, is he just makes everybody else so much better. Um, the other thing, in terms of matchups going forward, and this is probably what I'll end on. I'm not going to go too long in this video, but in terms of matchups right now, you've got New York number one, and then for the 8 seed, you have Chicago, Atlanta. I'll just bring it up. I'm just going to bring up the stand. I don't know if I can share my screen, but I will. I do want to bring up the standings for the WNBA because I think it's interesting. Um, Now I don't know if y'all can see it. I don't think y'all can see that, but I will see it, so I know what I'm talking about. So right now, the Liberty are 26-6, and they are number one. And then it's interesting. You've got the three-way race for the last place in the oh god, my screen's messing up. What did I do here? How do I get this back? 1 second, I'm sorry. I don't know how to get my thing back. Sorry, lost my momentum. Oh, there it is. All right, there we go. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So yeah, all right, here we go. I don't think Reese is scoring 30 points tonight. I don't see that. I'm sorry there, Dilbert. I don't mind Angel Reese. I think she's strong on the boards, but I don't see her going for 30. She just needs to shoot over 40%. That's what Angel Reese needs to do tonight. But yeah, if I'm looking at, but I give you derision there. But the one thing I will say is if you're looking for that 8 seed, it's a three-way battle between Chicago, the Atlanta Dream, the Washington Mystics, and Dallas Wings. Now, I don't let's see, what do we have? We have Chicago's 11-19, the Dream a game behind at 10-20, and then the Mystics at 9-22, and Dallas at 8-22. Dallas, I just think their schedule's too hard. Their schedule, they've got this hardest strength. They've got the second hardest strength of schedule coming home, so I think that's going to be a tough one for them. Washington, they don't have enough offense, in my opinion. And then I think it really comes down to Chicago and Dallas for that 8 seed. And for me, if I was looking on paper, just players and everything else, I would choose Atlanta. Like you think Ryan Howard and the way that team's set up, I would think, and Canada's back and healthy. But here's the thing, I just don't like picking against Chicago. Even after these tough losses, I don't like picking against Chicago because they are a tough team and they just seem tougher to me than Atlanta. And I'd rather go down with Chicago Sky. So if you were making me make a prediction, I've got Chicago at the 8 seed, making the playoffs, and I'm here for that because I want to see Chicago and New York match up. I don't think Chicago could beat New York, but I think it would be a fun series. I think they might be able to get a game off New York and make it a fun series just because Chicago, they've got the quick guard and Kennedy, and I think that New York struggles with that penetrating quick guard. Like I remember Jada Melvin gave them trouble. I remember I think Kennedy got off against them, yeah, it would be an interesting battle. And then I want to see John Quall have to battle against Cardoso. I think that would be fun. And they've got the bigs inside, like you say, Joseph. So you've got Reese there to battle. I think it would be a nice little slugfest. Again, I think New York has too much, but I do think it would be a fun series. And then at number two, let's take a look at number two. This is where it gets interesting because Minnesota is 23-8 and Connecticut's 22-8. So they're in a dead heat right there. So 2-3 is a dead heat. And it really sets up interesting because 7-8, you've got Indiana and Phoenix, and they're almost in a dead heat right now as well. So Mercury have a tough schedule coming home, and Indiana has an easy schedule. And in my opinion, that's an interesting matchup because I think Minnesota, if Minnesota was had their choice, I think Minnesota would rather match up against the Phoenix Mercury. I think they match up better. I think they're comfortable when they play them. They gave them a nice beating the other night, and Phoenix plays an open, wide game, and I think that suits them just fine. I think they know they can handle them. I don't think they want Indiana quite as much, but I think Minnesota's pretty much comfortable with anybody. The one that's interesting, I think, is Connecticut, because I think Connecticut would much rather play the Indiana Fever, and they would be happy with that if they would do that. If they moved to number 2 and Indiana was at 7, I think they would be great with that, and that's the team they would want versus I don't think they want the Phoenix Mercury. And the reason is just because the Mercury are a vet team, and I just think the style of play might give them trouble because Phoenix, when they're shooting, they can put points on the board, and I could see them struggling or giving Connecticut a good series if they're hitting their shots. That would be my take on it. That basically, that Connecticut wants Indiana and stay away from Phoenix, and vice versa. I think the Phoenix Mercury would definitely want Connecticut as well, and that's the interplay between those two teams. So Connecticut versus yeah, Connecticut wanting Indiana, and the Mercury wanting the Connecticut Sun, and it'll be interesting to see how those teams, if like how they jockey to line each other up, and if there's a little bit of, tanking going on to get the best, most advantageous playoff matchup. Um, the one and then the best one that's already setting up, it looks pretty much to me like it'll be Seattle Storm and Las Vegas Aces locked in at 4-5, and that's gonna be the best series. So that's 19 and 11 for the Seattle Storm, and the Las Vegas Aces are 18 and 12. It I don't know if you saw the other night when the Storm went down it wasn't Atlanta. Who did they lose to? Was it Atlanta? No, it was Washington. And Diggin Smith, it was losing her mind. She was dropping f bombs during the press conference, and that's just gonna be fantastic. When that series happens, one of those teams are gonna lose, and they had no visions of losing in that series. They thought that they were on for uh, they definitely didn't think they were going out in the first round. And if the Aces go down in that series, which is a possibility, Asia Wilson is going to lose her mind. If the Storm go down, I want to see Diggin Smith lose her mind. And the matchups are great. I want to see Diggin Smith versus Kelsey Plum. That should be fun. And then watching Jewel Lloyd match up as well versus Gray. Just all the matchups are good, I think, in my opinion. And then Nneka Ogwumike matching up versus Asia Wilson. Yeah, it's that'll be the series to watch in the first round, and I'm here for it. And I can't tell you who I think would win. I think it's a line ball call because neither one of them have played great. They're not as good as we expected them to be. The question with the Aces, are they coming together? It seems like the Seattle Storm peaked before going off to the Olympics, and they're just trying to recapture. So I think it'll be interesting to watch. I think I'll probably end it there. Did anybody have any questions or anything, or any other comments? I just wanted to get a quick little taste before it. I did this video live, but I couldn't edit it, so I just thought, "Oh, I'll do a quick live stream." Let me just see the comments here. Reese scoring 30 tonight. No, we already talked about that. Yeah, maybe 30 rebounds, but not points. I don't think that. No. The two rookies in the paint out rebound everyone. Yeah, yeah. I've got time for Cardoso. She's good. And Reese, Barbie bingled out. Let's see. It's all Joseph, isn't it? Caitlin should be MVP. She's just that amazing. Nah. Caitlin's had an unbelievable rookie year. She will be the rookie of the year, but the MVP will be either Asia Wilson or Nafisa Collier, in my opinion. Caitlin's already getting tired of the media. She was hiding behind other players coming into the stadium. Caitlin's used to that, in my opinion. So I think she'll be fine with all of that. I might do a live stream after the games today. They're great games set up. Obviously, you've got the Chicago one at 9:30 that I don't know what time is it in the States right now. I don't even know what time it is. I assume it's 7:30 over there. But The other good games, the ones have Minnesota, Dallas. So Minnesota can put the knife to Dallas, in my opinion. If Dallas loses this game, it's going to be hard for them to make the playoffs. I don't see it happening for them. And then Atlanta, Las Vegas. Atlanta has to be desperate. It has to be desperate. That'll be a fun game as well. All the games are good. This is like a good book coming to the end, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. And then New York, Seattle. Seattle really, really needs this win tonight, in my opinion. They just need to get better and playing good. You can tell they're getting very, very edgy, and they don't want to lose another game at home again. In New York, that's a tough team. Let me tell you, that'll be good. I don't think Izzy Magnabor's played as well since she came back from the Olympics. At 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Thanks for that, Joseph. All right. So anyway, enjoy the games tonight. Just want to give you a little preview, and yeah, I might talk to you after the games. Have a good one. All right. Good night.